Get ready, everybody, because things are going to start taking off in this thing that we call spiritual acceleration, whether that be within yourself or in world politics, economics, ecology, all different levels. What we are in right now is a situation where we have most of the planets going retrograde. And as most of you know, when we say a planet goes retrograde, the planet doesn't change direction and start going backwards. It just looks like it from the perspective of Earth. But metaphorically, what's happening when planets go retrograde is they're kind of pulling back, taking stock, and things are gathering steam for when they go forward. So like Mercury retrograde is the most famous because it's a very common thing, and we're in a Mercury retrograde right now. And that will last until October 18th. And Mercury is the planet of communication. It's the planet of thinking. So when Mercury goes retrograde, a lot of times issues of communication get messed up. Emails don't make it through. You thought you sent it, but you didn't, and you find out later that you didn't, or you did send it, but they never got it. It's also the communication devices breaking down, things like that. But a lot of other planets are retrograde. So we have Pluto, which will be the first to go out of retrograde on the 6th of October. So this coming Wednesday, I believe that would be right. And then we have Saturn on the 10th and Jupiter and Mercury on the 18th. So we have 4 planets going forward within the next 2 weeks. And then we get a break until December, where December 1st we have Neptune going forward. Then we have Chiron, not technically a planet, but something we use in astrology. That's going forward on the 19th. And then Uranus will be going forward on January 18th. And to me, what my intuition has been telling me for the last few days is that it's like when you pull back a slingshot. And it's kind of like the farther you pull it back, the more forcefully things are going to shoot out of it. So the planets, it's not so much about being pulled back very far, but it's like there are so many planets that have been going retrograde. And so the issues that the Earth, the political systems, the economic systems, and then our own issues on the emotional level, the level of trauma, all that is unhealed. There's been a huge period now where people have been going within and contemplating a lot of things. So the first, Pluto. Pluto is about death and rebirth. It's a transformation that happens when it feels like it's the end, and then there is a rebirth. So it's the idea of the phoenix out of the ashes. It's the idea of the caterpillar that goes into a cocoon and liquefies and then somehow comes back together and emerges as a butterfly. So think of that death and rebirth type of transformation. That has been something that has been under review since April 27th of this year. So, and it's been under review in the sign of Capricorn, which is the sign that rules things like fatherhood, career, the financial structure of the world, governments, power structures. So this death and rebirth thing has been not necessarily happening, but gearing up to happen since the end of April. And starting on October 6th, we can look forward, or maybe with a little dread, to it actually starting to happening, to that aspect of the slingshot letting go and shooting the projectile forward. So issues like privacy, issues like everything that's going on right now with China, things that are going on with all the governments and all the power structures of the world, economic systems. We can look forward, or with dread, I'd prefer to look forward, to some drastic transformations starting to happen as soon as this coming Wednesday, the 6th. Then right after that, within 4 days, we have Saturn going forward. Now, I spoke about Capricorn. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. So we have a linkage here. And Saturn is going to go forward in the sign of Aquarius. And Saturn just got done going through Capricorn. Saturn is the planet that tests things. Think of like you build an airplane and then you need to take it on that first test flight. You need to put it through its paces, see if it can handle, flying, landing, taking off, landing, going to different altitudes, not crashing, not leaking air, not whatever can go wrong with an airplane needs to be tested. You hear about banks having stress tests to see if they are viable. Saturn is a stress test. So where things are weak, Saturn will break them, or at least point out the weakness so that it can be fixed. So Saturn is an important planet in terms of the structure, the economic, political system, and all of that. And as it goes forward, at the same time Pluto is going forward, there are going to be things that are tested. There are going to be things that fail the test. There are going to be some things that surprisingly pass the test. And that's going to happen in the sign of Aquarius, so you can look for that to be under Aquarian themes, such as science, scientific discovery. So there could be great scientific discoveries. There could even be discoveries that negate things that we thought had been figured out. That could also happen. And there can also be really beautiful humanitarian things that happen. Things that have been hatched under the retrograde that now, or that have been incubated under the retrograde that will now begin to hatch. So there could be things, for example, ideas like universal basic income, things like that could start happening in a different way, or there could even be surprising developments where certain things get proposed or all of a sudden come into law. So on the one hand, there could be a solidification of positive humanitarian things. On the other hand, there could be crashes in things that, for example, if you have an electrical grid like in the United States that's kind of patched together not very well, things could go out. Things could be shown to be defective. Excuse me. And then we have Jupiter, the planet of optimism and expansion, and Mercury, the planet of communication, both going direct on October the 18th. So then we get a break until December and January, where we have Neptune, Chiron, and Uranus going forward. Anyway, how does this all apply to you? Well, number one, start thinking about what you have been pondering, what you have been going over within yourself since last spring. What are your weak spots? What are your weak points? Have you done anything about it? Have you thought of doing anything about it but not done it yet? On a certain level, that would be appropriate that you have thought about it. Now you can actually do it, and now you should do it. So whatever it is, it can be, I'm going to read a book a week, I'm going to cut out sugar, I'm going to exercise or do this new thing, whatever that might be. This would be a good time to actually make that happen. If there's something that you've been sitting on and incubating, now it could be a great time to let it hatch. If there's something that you need to let go of, something that's not working in your life, and you've been resisting the change, maybe you've been overthinking it, maybe you've been deluding yourself in your overthinking of it, and that really you're just afraid. Those things I would advise figuring out what action you need to take by October the 18th and taking it soon thereafter, starting the process. So whatever that might be, if you're in the wrong job, it doesn't mean you need to quit, but it does mean that you need to start the process of finding the new job or doing the new hobby alongside the old job or whatever it is. I always tell my clients, don't quit your day job until you have a good backup, and maybe you're going to have a period where you're doing both for a while. A lot of people come to me and they want to do things in the healing field or creative fields, and they want to get rid of their day job a little prematurely. So you don't necessarily need to do that. What you do need to do is start the new thing, even if you don't need to end the old thing. So just feel, where have you been thinking about making some changes? And what would it look like to get started on those changes in the next 2 weeks? And this is an opportunity that you don't really want to miss. And And this isn't even taking into account that we have I believe a full moon coming up first, then a new moon. But anyway, we're going to get to that in another video. Anyway, we're at a point where energetically, although it might not seem like it to you, we have been in a lull. We have been in a pullback phase where not much has been happening compared to how much is gonna start happening. And between now and February, mid-January, we're going to be in a new reality to a certain degree. And whatever you have done inwardly, it needs to start coming out. It needs to start showing itself. You know, if that butterfly doesn't get out and start moving those wings and flying, it's not going to be a butterfly for long. Okay? And that's not some big, huge warning, but it's just the way things are. If you don't enact the change, if it only is a thought in your head, that's not the real change. So anyway, some things to think about during the retrograde and the emergence from the retrograde. Good luck with all of that, and I will talk to you soon. If you want more information on the work I do in energy healing, personal transformation, past life regression, hypnotherapy, check out my website, www.andysway.com. Thank you very much.